Oklahoma State School Board has approved the first publicly funded religious school in the country. It will be a virtual statewide Catholic school after the charter school board voted Monday to approve the school. Here's just some of the reactions.
I lost a little hope and a little faith in what probably should have been the right thing. But again, each of us had to vote our convictions.
You all have seen over the last couple of weeks with the new school choice programs in the state, we think this is just an extension of what we've been doing in Oklahoma, which is providing more opportunities for education for kids.
All right, the Oklahoma Attorney General now saying that they are going to sue to stop this because of, obviously, the First Amendment and Establishment Clause. Julia, why do Republicans seem to think that education is something that they can pretty much go as far as they want on and still maintain core support?
You know, I think all of this obviously started during COVID, during the lockdowns and such, but I think Republicans are seeing education as an issue that literally impacts everyone, and particularly, they look at populations like suburban populations, for example, suburban populations that have swung left to right on the political pendulum for quite some time right now. In 2021, they saw that population in Virginia and in New Jersey. It didn't go all the way like they wanted it to, but there were a lot of people who were upset over education. They were upset over this idea that parents did not have a direct hand in their children's education. So they have definitely gone farther on this in an effort not only to galvanize their base, but they think this is an issue that really translates to it. They say they have polling that reflects that.
Well, the polling may reflect that, but you don't have to do it in the name of God or in the name of religion. There's a First Amendment, separation of state versus the church, and that's real. And it's put the Attorney General in a tough place in Oklahoma because he's going to wind up suing one of his agencies that he represents. I don't know how he's going to do that with conflict of interest, but there will be other groups that will sue. They will win, and if it gets to the Supreme Court could have to render a decision, but it's an easy decision here. You can be concerned about education, and you can set up these schools, and you can fund them. You can't fund them in the name of a religion or in regard to faith-based organizations.
Well,
it's just wrong.
Right, there's been a lot there, and you're right. I mean, Americans United for Separation of Church and State have already denounced the board's approval. I'm sure they'll say, look, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. This would obviously be an argument on the Establishment Clause. But look, there's a lot of Republicans who definitely support religious charter schools or support charter schools that have some kind of faith-based connection. Why do you think Oklahoma seems different?
I think what you're sensing, and it's just manifesting in Oklahoma, is a feeling that a lot of people have, not just people who are Christian. I think a lot of people who have values that are different from what the established, educational elite are telling us we need to teach our children. They have visceral reactions, and desperate times in their minds call for desperate measures. And so I think we can sit here and equivocate about whether or not it'll, how it'll sit with the Supreme Court. But at the end of the day, these people, my friends with kids, they care deeply about what their children are being taught, and it seems to be uniformly led by a bunch of liberals who are super out of touch with families, and now they're trying to take it back.
Using the L word.
But it's the truth. It's the truth.
Well, look, and then that's now why school board elections are becoming such a hotbed.
But Leo, let me just jump in real quick.
You got the last word, 30 seconds.
Real quick, is that I have no problem with what you're saying and those parental concerns.
Yeah.
The problem lies, and you cannot use federal public funds to do it. So go set up the religious schools. Go set up the charter schools. It has to be privately funded. That's the only issue, and that's why it's going to be struck down in Oklahoma.
All right. Well. And now we will see if the prophecy will come true. The tape has been marked.
I make too many prophecies on this show.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.